Hey guys, Josh from Cardfight Empire here today, bringing you another future fight. Today we are going to be covering Susanoo, and like I promised, this is going to be part of my um, upload every day this week type thing. And happy Tuesday, guys, otherwise known as Flash Day for those of you who watch The Flash. But yeah, today we'll be covering Susanoo. It's going to be the first deck that we are covering out of the Try 3, or sorry, not Try 3, we did Try 3. The Trinity Dragon set that is coming out this Friday. Been a little behind, but we are going to get right on it. So that we don't waste any more time. Going into the test right here, I'm going to show you guys my specific deck build for this really quick. So while I'm unflipping these, I guess I'll just talk about it. Like, I had a pure Susanoo build, and it worked really well, don't get me wrong. It worked really well, won a lot of games, and it did good in testing, but like a big issue that I would always come into is I would deck out. It was like literally like 4 out of 5 times I would survive long enough to kill my opponent, but then the next turn that I would be able to kill them is when I would deck out. So I decided to change up the deck build to make it a little less, not less draw centric, but just more. I guess, what's the word for it? Not to make it less draw centric, but to make it like I won't deck out more because there's a lot less cards that use just on place draw or soul. Because I was running Rigid Crane in the grade 2 lineup, so every time Rigid Crane would hit, I would soul charge one and unflip one. So that was getting me through my cards. And then I also had a Kagi, which is the counterblast 1, soul blast 1 for Susanoo. Look at top 2, get one, and then put the other one to the bottom. So I had a lot of like on place draw cards. It also ran the stride, the new Oracle stride that on hit you draw 2 cards, and I believe soul charge 1 and discard 1, something like that. I didn't like that stride at all, so I actually took it out. But I actually came to the conclusion that I was going to do a Battle Sister Jelly / Susanoo deck. The reason that I came to this conclusion is because Battle Sister Jelly is pretty much the only relevant Legion card for Oracle Think Tank. The other one is the CEO Amaterasu Legion, and that Legion's just really, really bad in my opinion. And it also makes you soul charge when you're on it. So it would be really bad for like if I was using Legion to avoid decking out, like that card would be just as bad because I would draw for turn, have to soul charge, and then I would check 2. So I'm going through 4 cards anyways, and that's even more than what I put back most of the time. So let's get right into the deck build. We have 4 of the new Susanoo, 4 Battle Sister Jelly, 4 Battle Sister Crepe, new card Oracle. This card's pretty cool. Can be 11k on yours and your opponent's turn, which is very helpful for when your opponent tries to attack into your rear guards. You guys will see that a couple times. I ran 4 Battle Sister Pudding, and then I ran 3 Deity Spirit Loyalist Ame no Oshiho. Basically the card that you use in the regular Susanoo build at 4. I actually ran 3 of these, but the one's over here because Cardfight area is weird about deck building. I ran 4 of the new PG. A lot of people think that the new PG is bad, but I really actually like this PG because should I ever really need a PG, the skill is open for me to use after I've used one, or after I've soul blasted one. Like let's say I had to ride a PG, and I can just get it back to my hand as soon as I stride at the end of the turn. So I think it's a pretty good PG. Counterblasts are not that heavy in this version. In the other version, they were really, really heavy. But in this version, it's not as counterblasty, so you should be fine. And then I ran 4 Stride Fodders, 4 Precious Ophidian, and 2 Kuma no Kusabi. Basically the grade 1 version of this. So the starter, we ran the new starter that's coming out, Ikutu Hikone. We also ran 8 crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal. I know a lot of people don't like running draws in Oracle Think Tank because you draw so much already, but since a lot of things require Oracle, first of all, there's a stride that we'll get to. We use the new Battle Sister stride in this deck, so the more cards you have in your hand, the better for you. But it's also very useful to help keep Oracle all the time, because you'll have some times where you just check 3 and like that's not enough, and then you would rather check 4 and go into Oracle, assuming that you already had 1 card in your hand. But there's just a ton of useful reasons that it comes in. You have Legion, so you're not going to deck out or anything like that. And I just think the draws were very useful for offensive and defensive capabilities. Going into the extra deck, down here, we have 2 Kamu Susanoo. This is the brand new stride that's coming out, the GR. And I really like this stride. It reminds me of, actually 2 of the new strides in this deck remind me of how you can like, so I used to play CEO Amaterasu like way back in the day, and you used to be able to like almost trick your opponent. I didn't think that it was like scummy because like if your opponent just read the card or they were experienced, they would know. But basically, CEO Amaterasu had a continuous ability that said this card gains 4,000 power when you have 4 more cards in your hand, right? So if you would attack your opponent and you would have 3 cards in your hand, they would guard for what they assumed to be a 2-pass. So let's say that it was like CEO Amaterasu, which is a 10k, boosted by a 7k booster, right? Or an 8k booster, because the 8k boosters were more likely back then. So let's say we have CEO Amaterasu boosted by an 8k booster. You have an 18k Vanguard column. And back then, you attack your opponent. Let's say that your opponent throws down a 10k and a 5k for 2 to pass, right? As soon as you check 1 trigger, you just put all effects to Vanguard and your attack passes. Because since your drive checks are counted in hand, like after they are checked, basically, your Vanguard ability will come into play during the battle and actually boost your power. So a trigger will turn into plus 9k, so your 18 plus 9 will be now 27. So now your attack passes even though your opponent thinks that they guarded for 2 to pass, but they really guarded for 1 to pass because of that. So that's what this card reminds me of, because in Oracle, which is 5 or more cards in your hand, it gets plus 5k in a crit. So should you ever go into it and you don't have 5 cards in your hand, like it makes you, or sorry, it doesn't make you go to 5 cards in your hand, but it allows you to reach the point where you have 5 cards in your hand by using the second ability. But let's say you use the second ability and then you play cards for rear guards. As long as you play, as long as you don't play past 2 cards being in your hand, 2 cards left, you attack your opponent for, let's say that's just alone. So if you attack your opponent for 26 and they throw down a G guard for 36 or something like that, they basically don't PG you. You would triple drive, and if you check even 1 trigger, if you put it all to Vanguard, then the attack will pass, because at the end of the battle, you'll have 5 or more cards in your hand, so the Oracle ability will activate, and it will gain a crit. So let's say your opponent's at 3 damage, and they guard for 36 to your 26. If you check a crit, you just double crit them, essentially, because you just added all effects to Vanguard, and then it will get the crit from its own skill and the 5k. So basically, it will become 36, and it'll be 36 to 36 with 3 damage. So it's a very good card. Second ability, like I mentioned before, if you stride into it, you counterboss 2. If your hand is 4 or less cards, then you can counterboss 2 and draw until you have 5. Very good. Not so much in this deck, but in the Battle Sisters, like the pure Battle Sisters deck that I'll cover later, it's very good in that deck because you don't have as much advantage as this deck. I'm running 4 Kamu Susanoo. He is the stride fusion of Okay, sorry about that, guys. Something really weird happened with my computer, and it cut itself off. But like I was saying, um, the this common Susanoo stride is the stride fusion, basically, or the upgraded stride version of Susanoo. You can flip it, and then it has two abilities, just like most of the cards that are like this. So basically, you add an on-hit Zorus. Zorus, for those of you who don't know, is the stride that is on hit, retire one of your opponent's cards, and bind to for Narukami. And then they have Voltage, which does the same thing, plus something additional should they be GB3. That's the same thing that this does. So they had an on-hit called Kirin, and Kirin, when it hit, you check the top two, put one into your hand, and put one on the bottom. So that's what it does when it's just normally flipped. And then if you're Generation Break 3, all your units get plus 2,000 power. So, you know, it's not that big, but it's still very useful in the early games. Like, this is usually your first stride target, because it's just very good for building advantage. Then you have Excite Battle Sister Miroir. So the reason that I use this card is because I had a great idea. Since I was using jelly and pudding already, I decided to put in crepe because crepe has Oracle, so it works very well with Oracle and Precious Ophidian. So the synergy is just great. So honestly, I decided to put in Battle Sister Crepe, and then basically on these are these are literally 8 of your attackers, and if you want to, you can put down even a jelly from your hand that you have most of the time, and then basically you activate this card's skill, and not only does it give a small on-hit bonus to all of your Battle Sister cards, which is a counterboss 1, draw 1, which is not that great, but you'll be an Oracle in this deck. So basically when you attack your opponent, or sorry, not when you attack your opponent, but you give a skill to the Vanguard saying Oracle, all your units with Battle Sister in the front row get plus 1,000 power for every card in your hand. I literally cannot stress how powerful this skill is, just because of also what I was talking about before about not being Oracle and then hitting Oracle in the middle of your drive check. It would increase your power by a lot. So let's say that you had 4 cards in your hand, right? And you attack your opponent for 26. And then your opponent guards for 40. Let's just say that they guard for 40 or something, right? So you check 1 and you get a crit trigger. You put it all Vanguard. You check 2, you get like any other trigger, you literally put it on Vanguard, and your attack just passed. Because you're after you check, assuming that you don't check a draw trigger, if you check a draw trigger, it'll be plus 8 to your front row. But if you don't check a draw trigger, it'll be plus 7 to your front row. So it'll literally be 26 plus 7, 33, and then you got 2 triggers, so it passes. So that's very good. A lot of times you can even catch yourself with 10, 11, 12 cards in hand, which is the ideal time to use her, because she's just amazing for that. And then once your opponent does let you hit, you do get to draw a card. So it's not like your opponent doesn't have any pressure from not guarding big attacks. The last 2 strides in the stride zone, I have Waka Hirume. She is a Oracle Counterboss 1, Soul Blast 1, and you choose, or you flip a version of herself, and then you can draw a card and then put a card from your hand on top of the deck before you drive check. So it's kind of like a mini Vanguarder. That's what it reminds me of, the Stride Vanguarder from Genesis. How it lets you check cards or set up your cards before you drive check. But this card is different in the way that like it allows you to, if you have a bunch of triggers in your hand, you can like just put a heal trigger on top of your deck and then check it, ensuring that you will heal and still have that heal back in your hand. So it's a very good card. In the test, I never used it just because the other strides are, I prefer the other strides so much more. But also Soul is a heavy cost in this deck. But most of the time I was in a good situation where I could have G-guarded and used Amaterasu's soul charge and stuff like that, but I just didn't want to. It just wasn't necessary. Speaking of Amaterasu, she got reprinted into a new G-Guardian, so she's very, very good. If you have 4 more cards in your hand, she gets plus 10,000 shield, and then when this card's placed on your Guardian Circle, you can soul charge one, look at the top card of your deck, and then put it on the top or bottom. So I ran 3 of her, and 1 of the old one, Ichibi-Oshi, which is pretty much the starter for Tsukiyomi, reprinted into a G-Guardian as well. So I'm going to open back area, open area back up, I should say, and then we are going to get right into the replays of the games that I played. So the first game I played Kagero, as you guys can see. We're going through beginning turn procedures, and then the Kagero player goes first. He rides, I ride, I attack him, and then I think I didn't get a trigger. Yeah, okay, I got a heal, so basically useless, but not really useless. So he rides and calls. I guard with the Psychic Bird in my hand, and then I take it. He's running like a very interesting build. Like, I thought it was just Blade Master, but it's like Blade Master Kagero with some weird techs. So I checked, and then he drew into the Legend. I didn't even know that he drew into that. Like, it's a pretty good draw. He was able to get another Spherical Lord off of it, and he had a Nahalem, so he plays all this stuff down. I decided to guard with the heal trigger, like, just because I have Legion, and it doesn't matter to me as long as I'm not getting to like insane amounts of damage in the early game. So I already had to take 2 attacks, so I would have been at 4 damage had I not guarded. But yeah, so I'm able to stride. I just straight up stride into the combo Susanoo. I use Susanoo to flip its skill, and then I use the on stride skill of Susanoo to draw a card, which I draw into a PG. I really wanted to attack her, but he decides to guard like pretty much all my Vanguard attacks just so that I won't get the on hit skill and add more cards in my hand. It was kind of smart, but at the same time I feel like he would want Counterblast, but his build doesn't seem to need it as much. But he goes into Titan with a crit, and so IPG, he unfortunately checks a heal right there, so that means I would have to be more cautious even if I did have Regards to play. And then he binds that Blaze card, so I use the GB2 to look at the top card of my deck. I put it back because it's a crit, and then I proceed to call 2 cards. I was really hoping that this Vanguard column would hit because it would be 2 on hit skills, but of course he wasn't gonna let that happen. He PG'd it. I got double crit and put on Rearguard, and then I attacked his Rearguard, and he just used that weird card skill to move it from the bind zone to the Guardian Circle, and it got plus 5k. At the end of the turn, I counterbusted one to add the PG to my hand, and I told him to pick a random number because it's supposed to be random, the card that you bind face down, and so he ended up sniping the PG that I just picked up. So sometimes that happens, but it's not a lot that happens, and it's kind of like a rare chance. But he uses the Legend here. He checks 3. He puts a critical all on Spherical Lord, and then he discards 3 again. IPG again, and then he checks a heal and a crit. So I just, at this point, straight up couldn't guard because so both sides didn't have a crit. So I just took his Nahalem hoping that I would heal, and I did not heal, so that was unfortunate, but I lost that game. And then moving into the next one, if area would open up. Okay, moving into the next one, And I'm back, guys. Okay, so it cut out on me again, but I just figured out that apparently the new headset I just bought has like a auto save feature or like a power save feature. It basically turns my headset off when it doesn't sense audio coming through. And there's no audio coming through because I'm just using the mic to record a video, but apparently I'm gonna have to like listen to music every time I record a video now or something. But moving into the next match of this future fight, I'm just gonna restart the match that we had from before. Susanoo 2, yeah, 3 speed. Okay, so this time I was playing against a very weird like Pale Moon build. It is like literally old school Pale Moon with strides, which is strange, but so he attacked me, no guarded, he got a trigger, one pass, he passes. So I actually start with the Battle Sister half of things this time around. So putting hits, so I give 3k to Vanguard just so that Vanguard will definitely pass through, and then 9 to Vanguard. And then he goes, he rides into Mirror Demon, which is, this is so weird for me, like, I didn't know what to do, because I thought that it was like some new deck that I've never seen before, some broken deck, but turned out that it wasn't really. But he heals, and I go to 3 damage, so I ride the Legion, and then I proceed to just attack with Pudding again. Pudding hits, so I give 3k to Crepe over here, and then I attack for 19. I check, get no triggers, and then I attack him for 12, and he guards with the heal again. So he rides Miracle Pop Ava, and I thought that this was also the Miracle Pop Ava like infinite loop combo thing, whatever that is. I don't really know how it works. I saw it, and I didn't think that it would be consistent enough to be relevant, so I didn't really pay attention to it. But this guy is playing it, so I mean, he's literally just attacking me for normal attacks and stuff like that. But he kind of busts one for Midnight Bunny to send it to the soul, and he ends up calling out Skull Juggler to the back row, and then using it to soul charge one. So it's my turn, and I decide that I'm going to stride with 2 cards in my hand into the Susanoo stride. So I flip one, and then I just go in with Oracle. Crepe gets 2k, so I attack with 11. He takes it, and then I attack for 31. He G-guards with Furnival, and then he actually ends up soul charging 2 and then drawing, and then he puts the other 2 back to the bottom, and then he guards me for a 2 to pass. So I check my triggers, I get a draw, and then nothing else. So I just attack him for 14. He takes it. It is now his turn. He break rides into Starlight Melody Tamer Farah, and it's been so long since I saw this card that it like instantly blew my mind. I thought I was seeing like some next level stuff here, but I wasn't, and it just made me kind of sad because I mean he multi attacks, but which I guess low-key almost kills me in a way, because I had to PG his Vanguard, and then he calls back out too, and just because of the way my hand was positioned, I guess turned out to be not that great. But he does tech another heal, so he's getting like all the heals, and then I guess I wasn't even close to dying because I still had 2 PGs in my hand, but it was just the way that he did it that was like confusing, I guess. So I go into Kama Susanoo because I know that he doesn't have a PG. I also want to use the Soul Blast 1 draw card So I'm Oracle right now. So I attack him for 11, and then I attack him for 31, or sorry, 36 with a crit. He G guards with a brand new Pale Moon G Guardian that lets him soul charge one and then choose a card from his soul and put it out. So that's 36 to my 36. And then he guards with a 10k. So that is 2 to pass. I end up checking critical and putting all in rear guard, knowing that he probably can't block it. And then that ended up being game. So I don't know what the heck that deck was, but I don't think it is that great. I don't know what the goal was, so I guess I can't really say that it wasn't that great because I didn't see anything super amazing. Maybe he was just playing it for old time's sake. Moving into Susanoo match 3, I played against Genesis this match, and this match was actually really funny because my opponent quit after I got a really good, put in a really good scenario. So he attacks me for 12. I check a crit, I ride, and then I attack him for 14. I get nothing. He checks Streaming Dragon. So he rides a grade 2, and then he proceeds to play this grade 2 column. So I took it, and then I took the second one, and then I was like, wow, I'm screwed. But then I got a heal. So then I ride to grade 3, and I just attack him, and I check double heal going back down to 1. And I was like, wow, I'm a god. But he said so lucky, and then he proceeds to stride into Vanguard, which I was like, why? Maybe he like plays a build since he only plays, he's playing witches in there, so maybe he's only playing GB2 stride, so he has to go into one of them or something like that. I don't really know the situation, but I decided Legion because I didn't have stride fodder in my hand, and I literally just attacked him, and I think he just quit the game. Unless I'm wrong. He said no guard here. I just remember at some point he quit the game. So he rides Fenrir. Oh, it was this point. So he strides into the new, or into the stride fusion of Fenrir, but then he remembers that he forgot to use Fenrir on stride skill, and I was gonna let him use it because the game state technically hasn't changed at all, but for some reason, once he forgot that he used the Vanguard skill, he mentioned the Vanguard skill, and then he just quit. So I don't really know how this game would have gone. I'm assuming pretty well for me since I just got stride fodder. I do need some attackers, but since I just got stride fodder out of these two, and then I have 2 PGs and 3 G Guardians and like a setup hand, like it's looking pretty good for me because I was going to take most of these attacks anyways. And then I would have been left with this to survive for pretty much the rest of the game. Moving on to the 4th and final match. We have Susanoo versus Gear Chronicle. Or should I say Gear Paladins. So he's actually playing the Zodiac Timebeast build, which I don't think is bad or at all or anything like that, but it would have been nice to have a test against the really consistent good version. So he rides and he plays the 8K, which I'm definitely not guarding that, but he gets a heal. I ride Crepe, and then I just attack him for 14. He no guards. I get another Susanoo, and then he plays a rear guard to, yeah. Then I no guard. He doesn't get a trigger to the good graces of me, so I ride and then I stride into the new stride comma Susanoo. I soul S2 to draw 1, and I was hoping that I got an attacker, but I didn't. And I attack him for 31. I get a crit and a heal, which is pretty good. And then I use the on-hit skill to get another heal to my hand. And then he goes into Split Pegasus. And it just seems like the majority of people on Cardfight online don't know really how to use their deck. Because he did all of his plays but then he tried to use the on stride skill of Chronojet G like after he did everything, and I was like, yeah, you can't do that. Unfortunately, I mean that would be broken, but so I remind him that he can't do it, and then he does it anyways, and then proceeds to attack me for 23, to which I was like, this wouldn't have been 23 if you didn't use G skill. So at this point he pretty much just needed to put back what he got from G skill because it was like too late to use it. So then he just attacks me for 20. I guard with a 10k. He attacks me for 34, and checks 3, gets no trigger. I damage check, and then I take his 21 too. So I stand and draw. Again, I use the GB2 to check the top card of my deck, which is Precious Ophidian. And I decide that it's good to keep it there because yeah, it was good to keep it there for that purpose. I go into Susanoo again, giving plus 2k to all my units, and then I attack his Vanguard. He actually G-Guardians into Header around, which is really weird because Pudding's not that big of a threat. But at the same time, he did make me get a PG off of this, which was kind of sad for me. But he has 3 to pass. I check 3 non-triggers. Then I attack for 17. He does end up taking this one, so I'm able to use the skill, the Oracle skill of Kuma no Kusabi. Check top 5, add an Oracle card to my hand, and then it goes to the soul. And then I get to put the rest on the bottom in any order, so I get to stack my deck, which is really good for this specific build. But moving into my next turn, or sorry, moving into his next turn, he strides into next stage. Now at this point, I pretty much just knew I wasn't going to lose as long as he didn't check double critical on next stage because I was planning on taking it. So he again uses the heart skill in the wrong order, but I figured that it was fine because the heart skill allows you to play up to 1 card from your hand. So I just let it go through without saying anything because it would have been the same thing. He attacks me for 20. I guard with a 10. Yeah, and then he also added Vanguard to his monkey, assuming that it gained power again, but he tried to use Delayed Blazer here to time leap monkey, but I told him that Delayed Blazer was only on play, so I was like, come on man, you need to read your cards. But he attacks me for 34, and then I no guard, and then he checks, stand. Yeah, it's like stand, crit, stand, or something like that. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's kind of broken if I had not had a good hand. So he's using next stage skill right now to discard, and then go back into Chronojet, and then Chronojet G is attacking me for 21. I just decided to PG. Just so I don't have to worry about it, and then he checks a draw trigger and a heal, so that was, you know, pretty skilled, but I can't talk about skilled because I'm not skilled. But so he attacks me for 32. I end up using both the G guards in my hand, which I wasn't really expecting, but I was happy at the same time that I did do it because I got to soul charge, and then I'm gonna get to do the GB2. So I used GB2 to check the top card of my deck, and then put it back, and then I literally soul charged, and then I strode into Miroir because I had Battle Sister cards in my hand, and I moved that card to soul. Then I called the 2 grade 2s, used the skill to draw, and then I used the skill to draw again. I wasn't even paying attention to my deck size. I didn't even know that I had only 4 cards in my deck. yeah, so I have no idea what happened to my deck, but I checked the top 5 and added one, so um, at this point I checked 3. So he guarded for 31, 41, 46. So then he guards for 51. So I was like, the 51, like, is fine. He said, yeah. So I proceeded to check, and then I got a try to check where you at. Oh, so right here, I was making him fix Urlu because he Urlu'd a heal trigger and a card, a random normal card back to the deck, but then he shuffled. So I was like, yeah, that actually affects things because if he heals out of this, I pretty much die. Because I, don't have cards in my deck. Like, I literally will have 1 card left in my deck, which I don't know why it says 0 right now, but that's not what it was. So I check a crit, and then a heal, and then a draw. So then I literally just he quits the game at this point, but I was pretty sure that I had game unless he had something else in his hand, which he had a heal trigger, which I don't know why he quit. I would have loved to see how the game ended up, but I just showed like what would have happened had I kept going, or whatever. I would have used the PG skill to add one of the PGs back to hand, and yeah, but that concludes the final match of Susanoo. Basically, my view on the deck is it's very, very good deck. It's also very fun. It can beat, I would say it's probably tier 2. It's probably, yeah, probably a tier 2 deck. Feels just about tier 2. Doesn't feel like super broken. Just feels like relatively good. I could see it taking a small tournament by storm and winning the tournament, because the Battle Sister stride is definitely just like very, very amazing. Especially when you have like 2 crepes on the field or something like that. But yeah, basically it's just basically just a tier 2 deck, I would say. But I thank you guys for tuning in today. Sorry for all of the cutouts and mistakes that my headset caused me, and sorry for all the ums and random spaces. But thank you guys as usual for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe if you liked the video. Comment and let me know your thoughts on this deck and what you think it will be able to do in the future. And you guys can look forward to seeing me again tomorrow. This has been Josh, and this is signing out, guys. Bye.